So, Nitin, you are available today, and I think David is not, online yet.
Attended.
So, yeah, maybe he will attend. After a while, he can have a look on the, recordings. So far, you have done few of the units earlier, and
Yes.
we, you know, did one session on the system analysis and design, yeah, last
Okay.
week. So learning outcome one we was completed. Did you get the attend the system analysis and design LO1 before?
No, I guess no. No.
Okay, no worries. So let me give you a quick idea about the and the recall for the LO1, and then we will move to the LO2. So system analysis and design is a core unit for, let's say, computing, designing, or the developers. I would say developers and analysts. Yeah. So the computer is in front of you, is in the form of hardware and software. Yeah.
Yes.
But behind the software and hardware, they have been designed. Yeah. The hardware has been the hardware is designed according to certain rules and regulations, as well as the software is also designed. Yeah. So here
Yes.
we are concerned about the system analysis and design, so that you should be able to analyze and design the system so that it should be able to be implemented. Yeah. So in the system analysis and design, we did some topics like software and the system development life cycle. You should carry on your development using certain stages, and then we discussed like you know the steps into the system development life cycle. So for every system development, you need to have a planning, then analysis, then design, implementation, then integration, acceptance, and maintenance. Yeah.
Yes.
And by following it, there are certain software development methods. Yeah. Like a
Okay.
waterfall, we shared prototyping model, incremental model, agile methods. Have you heard about those methods ever before?
Yes. Yes. I heard it.
Yeah, so we discuss, those methods into, detail, their advantages, disadvantages, and where to use. And it was, the LO1. Yeah. Now,
Okay.
today we'll discuss the LO2 of the systems analysis and design. So let us, go ahead. Be
Okay.
able to use the systems analysis and design techniques to recommend improvements to an existing system. Yeah. Now, you are supposed to design as well as improve an existing system. Yeah. And how? By using certain techniques. Yeah. How,
Okay.
you know how those techniques could be used? Let us have a quick look on those techniques. Yeah. So
Okay.
normally, yeah, uh, there is a little bit noise on your side. Yeah, but it should be fine. Is it
Let me adjust it.
yeah,
Just
is it a fan noise or something else?
okay. Hello.
Hello, yes.
Yes. Okay.
No, it should be it's same, but it's fine. Let me carry out. Yeah.
Yes.
The normally we can get any requirement, maybe in written, yeah, maybe verbally, but there are certain standards which you can gather the information. One of them is, let's say, for example, interviews. If you need any information from a client, then you formally call it an interview. Normally it is a meeting, for example. Yeah. And
Yes.
the mode of the conversation should look like an interview,
Okay.
right? For example, if you are my client, then I would be asking you the requirement in the form of an interview. So it means I would be asking you many and many questions, and then you would be replying whatever I would need. Yeah. So the most
Yes.
common technique for gathering requirement is to sit down with the clients and ask them what they need. The discussion should be planned out ahead of time based on the type of the requirements you are looking for. Yeah. So it shouldn't be the case that you should you know uh, organize an interview and you are not planned for the interview. You should not be expecting the client to give you all the details, but you should work out in advance that what type of questions you would be asking. That is the most important thing. Yeah.
Yes.
So if you are in an interview, then you should do some groundwork before you ask any questions, isn't it?
Yes.
Otherwise, you would not be considered as a reporter or good, interviewer.
Okay.
Okay. So there are many good ways to plan the interview, but generally you want to ask open-ended questions to get the interview to start talking, and then ask probing questions to uncover requirements. Yeah.
Yes.
So normally you would start with the open-ended questions. Yeah. That
Yes.
could be the general talk, the mode of the interview, but obviously for the system analysis and design, you need to be, a kind of close-ended as well. What you need exactly, you expect exact requirement from the the client or the customer. Make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. So you have to be, concentrating on the itemized things. Yeah. Obviously, customer can give you a wide range of requirements, but those should be the itemized one. Yeah. The customer cannot give you, or your client cannot give you the information. For example, let's say they can explain something about how they process the order, and then something about how they, manufacture the items, for example. But no, the thing should have been itemized. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's about the interviews. Then certain information gathering techniques like an observation. Yeah.
Yes.
Probably you are not, making a kind of, system which may be based on the observation, but in observation is a kind of an information gathering technique. So that's why you are, studying here, and that's included into the indicative content as well. So it is basically the systematic description of events, behaviors, and artifacts in a social setting chosen for study. Yeah. So if any topic is there, then the systematic description of events and how it behaves, yeah, you need to observe it. Yeah. So observations enable the researchers to describe existing situations using the five senses, providing a written photograph of situation under study. Yeah. So it
Okay.
means you have to observe anything. For example, for example, if it is if you look at the school, yeah,
Okay.
then the written photograph, would be, let's say, a picture of the school. But if you really want to observe the how the school works, then you would be writing that there is a school, there is, a role of head teacher, there is a role of, the normal teacher, there is a role of, the students. Yeah. Then supporting
Teaching
staff
staff.
and many things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yes.
the best
Yes.
thing would be the observation allows you to write something about a picture and
Okay.
its behavior. So,
Hmm.
even using that technique may be used into the system analysis and design. It's some, kind of projects or any social setting. Yeah. That's
Okay.
one of the technique as well, right?
Right.
Then there is another, way of extracting the information is the survey. Yeah,
Yes.
survey is a list of questions aimed at extracting specific data from a particular group of people. Yeah, so surveys may
Okay.
be conducted by phone, mail, via internet, and sometimes face to face on busy street corners or in a malls. Have you ever faced, that situation ever?
No.
It's common, if somebody is asking you, oh, we have, uh, giving, let's say, iPhone 5 or iPhone 7, in a lucky draw, are you interested to fill in, some of the questions?
It is mostly happen about the credit card.
Maybe, yeah, about
Yes.
the credit cards and many
Yes.
things. Anything could be offered, and
Yes.
but it is not only against the, for the purpose of giving away any, prize, but
Okay.
surveys are used to increase the knowledge in a field such as social research and
Hmm.
demography, where you study the statistics such as birth,
Hmm.
yeah, death, income, or incidences of a disease. Yeah. Survey research is often used to assess thoughts, opinions, and feelings. Surveys can be specific and limited, and they can have more global, widespread goals.
Okay.
So, normally in surveys, you ask the questions, yeah, and
Okay.
mostly they are closed-ended questions, yeah.
Yes.
So, what is the difference between the closed-ended questions and open-ended questions?
Close-ended question has pre-decided answer.
Yeah.
Open-ended question.
And open-ended questions are left at the, you know, uh, audience that how they want to reply the question. Yeah.
Yes.
And it is easy to ask the question, open-ended question, but it is very difficult to interpret those questions and to include in your results, isn't it?
Yes.
Because based on their answer you will have to create the possibilities of the questions and inclination of those answers, and you will have to again create a kind of a closed ended question from those answers, isn't it? That what the question arises from their beliefs. Yeah.
Yes.
And then you would be able to, let's say, give a kind of statistical analysis that what percentage of people they believe in such a thing. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Focus groups is a form of qualitative research in which a group of people are asked about their perceptions, opinions, beliefs, and attitudes towards a product, service, concept, advertisement, idea, or packaging. Yeah.
Yes.
Questions are asked in an interactive group setting where participants are free to talk with each other, uh, with other group members. During this process, the researcher either takes notes or records the vital points he or she is getting from the group. Care should be uh, noted to select members of the group carefully for effective and authoritative responses. So, if you need, if you really want, for example, if there is a political discussion, then people, you know, select the core political persons like MNAs and MPs. Yeah, they invite into one focus group. They throw away a question, and when they talk and fight on the, with each other, then the host, they interpret something, that what's going on. You must have noticed, the political talks into it's one of the, area in politics when they call for the focus groups, isn't it?
Yes.
That must be interesting, nowadays and everywhere, like in assemblies. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not only the focus group when media talk is, called for, but, focus group could be, called for any research topic as well. Certain beliefs, uh, certain ideas, some researchers, yeah, on social setting, or maybe in, the scientific research, somebody would have their own, beliefs, and still it would be the responsibility of the researcher who is organizing, who has a purpose to organize the focus group, will need to note down the findings of their discussion. And it is also most important that, you know the invited people should be selected very carefully, otherwise you would be wasting your resources, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, the next indicative content is that how you would be gathering the business requirements, and the topic is the look at the client briefs. Yeah,
Yeah.
what the client says, it is most important in every project. It is most important to know what the client's needs are. This is why proper communication channels must be established between your business and your clients. Yeah.
Yeah.
So communication channel between your client and your business and the business development team, obviously, it should be proper. If you cannot communicate your client, yeah, then you cannot get a, correct and efficient client brief, and you cannot go ahead with your goal, isn't it?
Yeah.
If the business does not know about the client, yeah, what the client needs, then can a company or business be successful in any way?
Yeah. That is true.
Yeah. So client briefs are the documents given by the clients to the businesses, establishments, and organizations that they would like to work with. Yeah. Now
Okay.
here question arises that what is the nature of the client? So normally it's not only the end user client, yeah, but a company or an organization or an individual can be a client, yeah, which could give their client briefs. Yeah, for example, if you are a let's say if you are a motor mechanic, yeah, then
Okay.
if you are looking for a software to be developed for a, garage, yeah, and the maintenance garage, then you as a client would be giving a written brief of your needs to the system developer. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you need to be very careful and focusing on what the client brief is, and you must obey, you must follow the client brief. Otherwise, you won't be, producing a good business to your clients. Yeah. This is
Yeah.
a term. This is a term. Every time you want to do anything, you want to deal with a client, then you can ask your clients to give you their client briefs. Yeah.
Yes.
So now, if you receive a client brief, it is essential for you to make sure that you will review the entire document and that you will take note of all the important details specified by the client. If you will be observant and careful when looking into a client brief, it will be easier for you to deliver the specification and expectations of the client. Yeah.
Yes.
Feasibility study. Yeah. Now, if you are ready to uh, go ahead with any project, yeah, or if you have some requirements in front of you, then you are required to do some feasibility study as well. Yeah. So have you ever got any chance to deal with any feasibility study?
No. But I aware about the physical study.
Okay. Can you give me an example of the feasibility study?
Example. No, right. I can't able
Yeah.
to. Yeah.
Can you give me any example of the feasibility study?
No, right now I am not unable to give any example.
Okay, no worries. For, for the feasibility study is a very common thing in
Mm.
daily life. Yeah.
Mm.
For example, if even if you are going to purchase, any, grocery for your home. Yeah.
Okay.
For example, and
Mm.
if you are going to the market, if you are looking at some kind of vegetables, some of the vegetables are expensive. Yeah. And some of
Mm.
them are cheaper. Yeah. On the day
Yes.
when you went to the market, something were very expensive.
Mm.
Then by looking at your budget and other constraints, whether for example you really want to have that particular thing, or no, one thing, if it is expensive, as well as we already had it yesterday. Yeah. And it would not
Yes.
be good to eat this particular thing again and again. Yeah. And
Yes.
then you would say, oh no, I'm not going for that,
Mm.
isn't it?
Yes.
Like, go to the market, you went to buy the mangoes. Yeah. Your
Mm.
family asked you to go to the market and buy the mangoes. You looked at, there was only few sellers who were selling mangoes, because the season was not you know uh,
Mm.
in full swing, and only few sellers were selling. The mangoes were not sweet that much. Yeah. Those were expensive. Yeah. And you came back home, what explanation you would give them to your family?
I just like it, and that's why I purchased it.
Like, you would say, there weren't any uh, good sellers, the mangoes were not sweet, those were expensive, and that's why you rejected the idea to buy mangoes at the moment.
Yes.
Maybe after uh, couple of weeks you would try again.
Yes.
Yeah. I think this example is a genuine example to think about the suitability of any project, and
Yes.
if it was good enough to carry out, then you go ahead with. Otherwise you can uh, you know
Mm.
take back the decision of doing it, you know right? So is that clear? So in
Mm.
system development life cycle, yeah, and
Yes.
in order to go ahead with any project, you still need a feasibility study. Yeah. So a feasibility study is an analysis of how successfully a project can be completed. It's an
Mm.
accounting for factors that affect in such as an economic, like economically the things were expensive, technological, legal, and scheduling factor. Yeah.
Yes.
So regarding these perspectives, maybe other factors could affect as well. You are really concerned about it, and the feasibility study helps you to decide the successfulness of a project. Yeah.
Yes.
So the project managers use feasibility studies to determine potential positive and negative outcomes of a project before investing a considerable amount of time and money into it. Yeah.
Yes.
So like buying a mango is a kind of seasonal thing. Yeah.
Yes.
So have you started to buy the mangoes because it's a summer yet?
It's it's finished in here now.
Is it? It's finishing now.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So again, there are again disadvantages and disadvantage,
Yes.
for going ahead with this, and obviously, certain budget is involved. Yeah. Certain quality is involved. Really depends that how really you want to go ahead. For example, even the scheduling. If you are thinking the season is running out, yeah, and then you can not wait furthermore. It really depends how you want to go ahead. Yeah.
Yes.
But obviously the technology, the in the system development, the technical factors would be involved, the legal things would be involved, the scheduling factors would be involved, and many more things. Yeah. So let us move to the further components of the feasibility study, like description of your study, what you want to do. Yeah. Uh, there are several components of a feasibility study. So description is one of them, layout of a business, product or service to be offered, and how they will be delivered. For example, like a project, the description of a project, what do you want to do? Yeah.
Yes.
Then the market feasibility describes the industry, the current and future market, potential competition, sales estimates, and prospective buyers. Yeah. You look at the market, look at the technical feasibility, whether it is technical sound or not. Yeah. Look at the financial feasibility, whether the project would be, can be completed within the available funding or not. Makes sense?
Yes.
Yeah. Organizational feasibility, a definition of the corporate and legal structure of the business. This may include information about the founders, their professional background, and the skills they possess necessary to get the company off the ground and keep it operational. So if you have got any project that is need to be deployed into an organization, whether the organization feasibility exists or not. Yeah.
Yes.
Now next is the design process. Yeah. So how you would be designing the project. Previously we discussed like the information gathering. Yeah.
Yes.
The information gathering using interviews, observation, documentation, and investigation, surveys, focusing group, and then business requirements were discussed using the client briefs, what the clients really want. Then feasibility study. Yeah. And now we're going to discuss the design processes. Yeah. Analysis
Yes.
of the system components is also comes under the analysis and design. So we take this as a you know analysis and design. Yeah. So
Yes.
analysis is basically the requirements, what you want to do. Yeah.
Yes.
And it can be also explained that what the requirements are. Yeah. And in the design process, you basically process the uh, requirements. Yeah. You
Yes.
organize the requirements into kind of a representation. So a process specification is a method used to document, analyze, and explain the decision making logic and
Hmm.
formulas used to create output data from the process of from a process from the input data. Yeah.
Yes.
How? So in the design process you need a specification. Yeah. Its
Yeah.
objective is to flow down and specify regulatory engineering requirements and procedures. High quality, consistent data requires clear and complete process specifications. A process specification reduces ambiguity, allowing an individual or organization to obtain a precise description of executed tasks, accomplishments, and validate system design, including the data dictionary and data flow diagrams. So everything has to go through a process. Yeah. And when
Yeah.
you have to analyze it, then after going through certain steps, yeah, you process the things. That's basically the process specification. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah.
And what you need would be, you would require the data flow diagrams in that
Yeah.
process. Yeah. And that how the data flows in between the system.
Yeah.
Yeah. It would really help you to explain, like, the description of a picture. Yeah, the description of picture in 5 words. Yeah, let's say somebody would need to log in to check an account. Yeah, for example, this is a banking, process. Then accept any amount, and then update any database, then print out details, bank server database. So data would need to go through certain steps. Yeah, and which option, which action would initiate to which component, that would go through the data flow diagram. Yeah,
Yes.
and entity relationship diagram, whatever the entities you are using, how they are connected, what they have, and what are the entities there, what are the relationships in between them, what attributes are being used in them. Yeah, so you should be
Yes.
aware of the entity relationships diagram as well. I believe and assume that in the databases, we have covered earlier, we should be clear about the entity relationship diagrams as well.
Mm. Yes.
Yeah, are you aware?
Yes.
You
Yes.
remember? Yeah.
Yeah.
Then the design process also includes the ARD symbols as well, and these symbols would be used at the time of designing designing a system. So these entities, like a symbol, entity, attribute, relationship between them, you would require these symbols in order to populate the design of your system. Yeah.
Yes.
So the last topic of this, uh, uh, LO is the Unified Modeling Language, UML. Yeah.
Yes.
So do you know anything about UML?
Yes. I know about it. Modeling language.
Unified Modeling Language. Can you
Yes.
explain more about the Unified Modeling Language?
It is a diagram to show the actual process flow
Yeah.
to complete one task.
Yeah.
It contains the entity, character, sequence, all these parameters.
Yeah. More.
Sorry?
Yeah. Anything else about the
Anything more?
UML?
Um, that's it. Just right now, that's it.
Okay, no worries. Now, simply, if you want to analyze, if you want to do analysis and design of a system, yeah,
Okay.
then you require a modeling language.
Yeah.
Yeah, a modeling language means uh, a tool, a set of diagrams which you want to use in order to visualize the design,
Yeah.
right? So
Right.
UML is the kind of modeling language, and its name is
Hmm.
Unified Modeling Language. Yeah, it's a modeling language that helps you do the modeling. Yeah, like
Hmm.
model in normal modeling, the fashion designing modeling. Yeah, you
Yeah.
select a model. Yeah, and you try
Yeah.
to represent a model. Yeah,
Yes.
maybe a model of clothes, model of makeup, but in the system designing, you use a
Right.
model of the certain diagrams, components of the system, using this language. So what are those components? So it's a standardized modeling language enables developers to specify, visualize, construct and document artifacts of a software system. Thus, UML makes artifacts scalable, secure, and robust in execution.
Yeah.
UML is an important aspect involved in object-oriented system development. It uses
Yes.
graphic notation to create visual models of the system. Now,
Yeah.
in 2 words, if you want to do analysis and design, yeah, the UML is an object-oriented analysis and design modeling language.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like previously, you must have heard about the flow charts.
Yes. Algorithm flow charts.
Yeah, algorithm flow charts. In algorithm flow charts, you normally use to define certain steps of certain sequence, and that
Yeah.
how the sequence flows. Yeah, and probably you were also able to create certain components of the system as well using the flow charts as well. Yeah,
Yes.
like flow chart of, let's say, accounts, flow charts of, let's say, admission, flow chart of, let's say, something else, depending on a number of sections into any system, isn't it? Yeah,
Yes.
but the diagrams used in the unified modeling language, yeah, they concentrate on the uh, object orientation, object oriented concept of the modeling.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, before we move and discuss the importance of unified modeling language, which is the UML for object orientation, we need to look at the need for object orientation. I mean, we could use any normal flow charts. We could use data flow diagrams. We could use the entity relationship diagrams. Yeah, but why UML? Yeah, is that good
It is.
question?
Yes.
Yeah. So what's the answer?
It is neat and clean and easy to understand.
It is, and why it is easy to understand?
It is. It shows graphical representation.
And anything else?
Anything else?
Because it is an object oriented. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now the question arises. I end the session today. Yeah,
Yeah.
and leave it with you that you should study a little bit in advance, that what is the advantages of object oriented analysis. Maybe you can go through any document and or YouTube, yeah, and compare with the non object oriented analysis, and then in the next session we will discuss the LO3 and the start of the like detail about the UML, yeah, and
Yeah.
how it is helpful, what are the diagrams, which diagrams are used in the UML, yeah.
Yes.
So a little task is given to you. You can study the the from the history, that why object orientation came in and what were the advantages, and that's why the UML is used. And once you understand the need of object orientation, and then you will enjoy to go ahead with doing your analysis and design using UML, which is an object-oriented, modeling language. Yeah.
Yes.
So I end this session, and I will also send this recording. Uh, I will upload the recording on the Moodle as well, and so that you can repeat today's session. And
Yeah.
Obviously, the others, the David and Rishwan, they also should be able to see the recordings, and they can, get an idea in advance about the UML and the object orientation as well. And then we will discuss the next LO next week. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anything else you want to ask, today from this information gathering technique, business requirements, and the design process?
No. Right now,
Okay,
that
that's
is
fine.
okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
take your time and do some little research on the difference between the object-oriented and non-object-oriented programming and analysis and design. Then we will discuss in the next session. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Okay then. See you and bye.
Okay. See you.
All
Have a
right.
nice
Bye.
day.
Bye.